Hey everybody, this is Clint again. Welcome to Sweetcast. So lately I've been thinking a lot about Alterna Comics, and the reason being is a few weeks ago when I made the video about some of the suggestions I had for the future of Comicsgate, a lot of people in the comment section said, "Hey dummy," they said it nicer than that, but they said, "Hey Clint, Alterna Comics is doing a lot of those things that you suggested." So I've been starting to watch their YouTube channel and read up on them more, and I am I am quickly falling in love with Alterna Comics. Not only because of their innovative ideas and the fact that they're trying things, they're trying to become more accessible to customers, they're putting readers first, but also they didn't just bend over to the nut jobs from mainstream comic publishers and all the pressure to virtue signal down Comicsgate or any dissenting fans. So yeah, I'm pretty stoked about Alterna Comics. Having said that, they made a video, it was a few days ago now, called An Honest Discussion about comic book distribution. Now, that is synonymous with the word diamond. Right? We all know, if you're not aware, Diamond Distribution has a monopoly over distribution in comics. This presents a lot of problems for small publishers. It definitely presents a lot of problems. And so in this video, I suggest if you're interested on, really, I think this is great, like inside information, go watch this video, An Honest Discussion about Comic Book Distribution. But the video is great because he goes over some of the problems that they run into. They get fined sometimes if not everything's perfect for Diamond, but also whatever Diamond is doing or not doing to encourage more sales at the comic book retailer level, it's having an effect. So yeah, Alterna Comics, according to this video, they are seeing a steady increase of direct sales. So that would be sells directly from Alterna right to your doorstep. So for people making direct sell orders, and they're seeing a decline, which I guess is not, the decline itself is not a problem, but the fact that their direct sales are starting to overtake the distribution sales, and this is what worries Alterna. This is a strange world. I'm not the only one that knows. I mean, it's obvious that there are changes. There are big shifts in the comic book industry. Things are changing. And yeah, there's a lot of factors that play into that. It's hard to know. But whenever an industry changes, especially when there's still demand for that industry, it's not like there's just people just don't care about comics anymore. Some people don't care about comics, so they don't care about mainstream comics. But things are changing. There's still demand, but the system, the way that it's set up right now, is not working for many people. And in fact, many people are preferring direct sales. So the way that I think, I've got to compare this to other industries in order to see, like, well, what happens elsewhere, because there has to be a lot of similarities. So Barnes & Noble, I brought up Borders before in a past video, but Barnes & Noble, I was wondering, how are they doing? How did they manage to stay in business? Because, I mean, if you hadn't followed this, Borders went out of business essentially because of Amazon. You could buy books for much cheaper and you get exactly what you want. It's shipped right to you. This is definitely a similar industry. In fact, you could argue it is the same industry. It's books, it's publishing. So Barnes & Noble, why it could soon be the bookshop's final chapter. America's biggest bookstore chain has seen its sales slide for 11 years, with its stock price falling 8%, is the writing on the wall. Now it's not growth. And we've seen the same thing with Marvel. Despite how they try to make their numbers look, it's not growth. The industry or the business isn't growing, at least not the comic side of things. And just the beginning here, to the casual observer, Barnes & Noble in Manhattan Union Square seems to be doing everything right. Last Thursday lunchtime, displays heaving with books, customers milling around every table at the Starbucks on the third floor, taken by customers, a crish full of exciting children, magazine racks browsed. But appearances can be deceiving. America's largest bookseller is in trouble. A quick chat with the customers suggests one reason why. I get a coffee, take a seat, read the latest magazine, said a man who gave his name as Buddy, asked if he planned to purchase the car and engineering titles he was holding, but he replied flatly no. So the whole thing with having a brick and mortar retail store, things are changing there. It's not just in publishing. It's not just for comics. This is changing everywhere. I mean, it's hard to talk about. A lot of people get really passionate about it, and for good reason. I own a local business, actually. I understand the need for local businesses, but whenever there's a shift in the market that this is this big, there has to be changes made. And those changes, it doesn't have to mean that there's no local market. There can be, but local markets have to adjust if they're going to survive. Big bookstores like Borders is already gone. It's out of business. They sell books. Barnes & Noble is not doing well. They're going out of business. It's a brick and mortar store. It costs so much money to keep these things running. It's so expensive, and then they're selling paper. So trust me when I say I don't want local comic shops to go out of business. I'm just pointing out that things are changing. Whether we like it or not, they're changing. So how do we adjust, or how can local comic shops adjust? After watching Alterna's videos and listening to sort of a lot of their perspective, I'm beginning to think that a big part of the problem lies with Diamond distribution. That's definitely a problem. How are we getting comic books into the hands of readers through their comic shops, their local comic shops? So I don't know if you can see this very well, but this is just for any sort of sales process. They have distributors, wholesalers, retailers, and agents. And I can tell you, so underneath here, it has some lists of what they do, and this is very, very basic. But distributors are involved in sales and marketing. And I can tell you from firsthand experience, I actually, several years ago, I started up a business with my brother, and we were trying to sell games. I wanted to expand it to comics. We had all sorts of big plans. Ultimately, it was a learning experience, and would have done things differently for sure, but it wasn't a sustainable business model. It was extremely hard to start. However, the distributors in games, there are several distributors you can choose from, and they help with sales and marketing. They give you information. There's all sorts of great stuff that distributors can do to help retailers to understand the products that they're selling and understand, how much they should be buying, and all sorts of stuff. A distributor can really help there. Now, if comic shops are ordering too much, or they're being shipped more than they order, this doesn't help comic shops, because now that's a tax hit. The fact that they have more stuff in stock, they actually have to pay taxes on everything that they have in stock that's just sitting there. Okay, so distributors also build relationships with manufacturers. So this is on the other end of the supply chain, right? This could be printing. This could be also publishers, of course, publishers. They go beyond fulfilling and delivering orders. Yeah, so I think, at least for me, or I think most people, when you think of distributors, you just think that they're just this big warehouse that just ships things from point A to point B. But they actually have to keep track of how much they have in stock. They have to keep track of supply and demand. They're looking at the market, and that's the last thing here. Study the market actively. They have a good idea. They have their finger on the pulse of the market. Diamond knows probably better than anyone else what sells and supply and demand and where the market is headed. They have to know this stuff. And if they're not doing research, I'm sure they are, but I'm not inside Diamond, so I don't know. But if they're not looking at those kinds of things, that's a big deal. So how practical is it to start another distribution company that can compete with Diamond? Essentially, you need space. You need a website, and you need salesmen, right? You need to be able to get to every single comic book shop, and they're so small and they're spread out. You have to be able to talk to them, and you're selling them your distribution channel. This isn't impossible. All sorts of businesses like this start up all the time. It would certainly be something in theory that could be done. However, right now you have a monopoly. If you go in and you upset that monopoly, Diamond could crush a small company. I'm sure they could. So I have a few thoughts about this, and maybe some ideas. But first, I'm going to do another free comic advertisement for you. This is on IndieGoGo. This is Hero, A Blood of Patriots. And I'll tell you, I had these guys. It was Macho and Mutt. I had them on my live stream on Thursday this week, and those guys are hilarious. We had a really good time talking. Their comic looks really great. It sounds like a really fun story. So yeah, if you have a minute, go in and look at it on IndieGoGo, check it out. And they would really appreciate you backing them. They've got lots of great rewards. And yeah, it looks like it would be a fun read. All right. So this is not the first time I brought this up, but this is Associated Food Groups here in Utah. This is how independent grocery store retailers, grocers, can compete with large grocers like Walmart and like Kroger, for example. Essentially, you've got a whole bunch of smaller independent retailers, but they all have access to generic brand food, and they'll have access to distribution. I mean, they even share gift cards. Like if you're going to buy a gift card, it's an Associated Foods gift card. And so it works all around. You can use it at any of those stores. So it just allows for more flexibility. I know that there are healthcare providers that do the same thing. They band together, small healthcare providers. And when they band together, then they can get large health insurance providers to count them all as one group. So I forget the name that they have around here. I want to say it's like Mountain Star or something. But yeah, they collectively get together. They have some sort of agreement. They're all independent, but they're pooling their resources just where they need it. So if we look at IndieCron here, I think this gives you a start on where we could solve some of the problems. So if you think about a distribution service, one thing that they do is they allow you or a retailer to go log into a website, find what it is that they're looking for, and they can order it. Then it gets shipped directly to their store in one box, and they have it at a discount. They can put it up on the shelves, and they're good. They're good to go. The website thing would be pretty easy. The more I thought about how you could handle that, if you had something like an expansion to IndieCron, or it might have to be something else. We could call it Platinum Distribution. It would just be a website. You would have a login area, like somewhere at the top, and it would be for retailers. You'd have a login for publishers, and basically publishers would have some kind of way to just insert how many books that they have available, and that way they're listed on the website, and then retailers can go in and pick and choose which items they want to buy. Now, the part that cannot be duplicated, the part that Diamond is doing that a competitor couldn't do, is have everything in the same warehouse and have everything shipped together. That definitely saves money. If basically this way that I'm explaining, if there's a website that just had everything listed, it would be nice. It could be convenient. You might be able to convince, probably lots of small comic book shops to start using it as a second distribution route. But competing on price would be very difficult because you're essentially, the comic book store is paying for shipping for every single one of their orders that's coming from every single different small indie publisher. So the warehouse, it is a big deal. It's important. I'm not sure how you get around that, honestly. Having lower prices is a big deal. To compete with Diamond would be difficult. I'm not saying it can't be done. I'm sure that it could be done. I'm sure it could. But not by me. I don't have that kind of money to go buy a warehouse. The more I think about it, there's got to be other routes to tackle this problem, and it might make sense for indie publishers to make direct sales. That kind of brings me all the way back to the beginning and Alterna Comics. They try to support local comic book shops, but their direct sales are working. We've seen in Comicsgate, direct sales work. You throw something on IndieGoGo, people can buy it. There's definitely the time lag that I think will change in the future. But if you had a release schedule of some kind and you stuck to those dates, then people could know they could buy comics and it could get directly shipped to them. So yeah, there's definitely some things to consider. I'm not saying I have the answers, but maybe you do. I think there's somebody out there that has the kind of resources or the kind of know-how to solve this problem, or at least start working toward a solution. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on that in the comments below. And before we end the video, I want to give you a little update on Downcast. I've gone back and forth on some of the numbers and tried to figure out how to best handle this. And you might think I have the cart before the horse here because I'm still working on the creative side of the book, but this is important. So I decided on making a 52-page comic, and the reason why it's important to do it now as I'm writing it is I don't want to write a full 110 pages and then realize once I start getting printing prices and things like that, I should probably do 52 pages instead. And then you're not getting a very good story because it's stopping in the middle. This is a 52-page story. It's going to have a beginning, a middle, and an end. It's going to be a satisfying read. And the reason I picked 52 pages is because I have a lot to prove still. I realize it's a lot to ask for someone to buy a whole graphic novel from somebody that, honestly, you don't even know who I am. I realize I'm going to have to change that soon. I also have a hard time asking you to back a campaign when I've got a 22-page issue. And so to me, if I have a nice, thick 52-page issue, it's going to feel like it's a nice, satisfying read. It's going to be something that, if you're into collecting singles, it's going to be a nice, thick issue that you can have and cherish, as time moves on. But hopefully it's not too much of an ask that I have to prove myself more, I guess, as a writer. So that's the goal. That's the update on Downcast. I haven't shown you a lot of writing updates, and that's honestly because I'm at the point where I don't want to spoil anything. I want this to be something fun that you can experience. I have worked my way through the plot quite a bit. I've done a lot of revising and rewriting, and I'm really feeling good about the story. But I don't want to rush anything. I'm going to keep it going well. But just thought I'd give you an update. So thank you all for listening. I'm seriously loving getting to know all of you in the comment section and on Twitter and wherever we can talk, email. It's been really great. If you haven't yet, please subscribe, and I will see you next time.